If you feel you have what it takes to be awarded as the best in the business, here is your chance to apply. Head on over to our website, download the form and apply. If you face any troubles when applying or feel the need to get in touch with us directly, email us, call us, tweet at me directly at Sunanda_J or join our Facebook group.
Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, 18-hour special initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of micro, small and medium enterprises. This is the only daily MSME platform in the country, a show where you can voice your concerns and get answers to all your queries directly from our team of experts. We understand the issues that you, the MSME entrepreneur, face, and this show aims to bring you the most relevant and updated information on everything related to your businesses. On MSME Dialogues today, my colleague Chandra Shrikant caught up with Ashish Goel, the CEO of Urban Ladder, to talk about how you, the MSME entrepreneur, can gear up for the festive season. Take a listen to this very special interview. Hello and welcome to MSME Dialogues. We are in conversation with the co-founder and CEO of Urban Ladder, Ashish Goel. Ashish, thank you so much for joining us on this special show. I just want to start by asking you if you can, take us through your own thoughts on how has the landscape changed as far as online retail is concerned in the last few years, and the next big disruptor according to you.
When we launched our business in 2012, and said that we will build this brand online and sell furniture online. Many people, including our family members, thought that didn't really make a lot of sense. And in fact, my parents were in Bangalore at that time visiting us, and they used to tell my wife that it's okay if it doesn't work out. So I think there was a lot of disbelief. I think last 4 years the world really has changed on this dimension. Online retail for furniture has become front and center and mainstream. I think what has also happened is when the consumer context of an industry really takes off. For example, in India right now, with the advent of online furniture is really becoming mainstream and a large part of the consumer retail journey. Manufacturing also starts becoming stronger. So this has a ripple effect across the economy.
Right.
I think this is sort of very exciting times. I would actually say that India is leading the way as far as furniture being retailed online is concerned. Most of the countries, I think India is ahead on that curve, and very naturally so.
And Ashish, you're obviously in a business that has a very high level of customer interaction. So how did you really go about building a business that's customer focused, and what advice would you have for our viewers on this?
So the way I would put it, as an organization, we work with what I would almost call a missionary zeal for great customer service. The reason we exist, the reason we sort of come to office every day is to make sure that we deliver fantastic outcomes for our customers. Now that's sort of easier said than done, but what we have done is every person in our organization, so we have sort of we are a very values driven organization. Our values are chiefs. The first value is customer obsession. So every step that we take revolves around that. And some of these stories become legends. When we started the business, we've spoken about this a lot. When we started the business, 40 days into the business, we shut down 90% of the business.
Okay.
By starting to deliver only in Bangalore. This is a big step for a venture-funded, very early-stage company. But the reason was that we were not convinced that we could deliver a great customer outcome without delivering the product ourselves. Now those kind of steps, we have been very consistent through our journey. If we do something wrong, we go back and apologize, and we're very, very consistent about our customer values. I think it's a great team, our team which is going out to the customers' homes and delivering, delight for them every day.
Correct.
So yeah, I think the team is doing a great job.
Right. And what in your opinion is the opportunity for large and small businesses to exist side by side?
Given that it's a very fragmented business, I think the opportunities for, and I speak for ourselves, the opportunities for us to work with a lot of other businesses, some smaller than us, our size, or smaller or larger, is huge. I'll give you an example. We are very, very insistent on building a lot of partnerships with service providers of different kinds, interior designers, architects, small shop owners, to build partnerships to work with them in a win-win solution where we can take the brand Urban Ladder, we can take brand Urban Ladder to consumers in a better way. So that's one kind of partnership where we work with a distributed set of service providers and small entrepreneurs to bring brand Urban Ladder to more consumers. It could also apply to sort of being present in smaller cities and so on, smaller cities and towns. On the other hand, we would love to partner with larger companies which are or larger or similar sized companies which in the space of home improvement, where we can look at joint go-to-market solutions.
Right.
So we have some conversations and some partnerships in the works, and hopefully, fingers crossed, some of those will become very exciting to talk about in the next few months.
Right. In fact, as a follow-up to that, how do you think the landscape of retail is changing for small and medium businesses, and how can they really tap into that opportunity?
So, one of the things, and we haven't launched that program, but we may launch it in the next few months. We are sort of, doing the diligence on that program. Is one broad thought is whether if there is a small standalone, let's say, upholstery store, right? Right. Can we, in addition to that upholstery store, in addition to that upholstery catalog, can we also provide them something with which they can sell Urban Ladder products?
Okay, so taking your private label
to some of these smaller retailers, whereby we can really increase the size of their business,
right,
without them needing to increase the size of footprint or owning more inventory and so on. So sometimes we can really create these pretty distinctive solutions which can be win-win for us and for that small retail store, SME retail store.
Right, right. Can you tell us more about this product, since it's targeted at the show's target audience as well?
We haven't launched it yet, so it's a little unfair to speak too much without launching it. But let's say for a minute, if you're running a store in, let's say, a tier 2 or a smaller city, let's say Agra, right? You have a upholstery store and a home improvement store or a home improvement store, right? We could provide you our catalog on an iPad or a specialized device with which, when consumers come in, you are able to help them not only select, let's say, curtains and so on, but also help them buy furniture.
Okay. Okay.
Right? Which for a SME, for a small retailer is brilliant, because you don't have to hold any inventory. Right? The delivery processes, etc., will be managed by brand Urban Ladder, and you have great product at your disposal.
Right, right.
So it can be and you get additional commission and additional sort of realization from your time.
Right, right. Okay. And Ashish, taking this forward, how does a small retailer really compete with not just global giants, but also homegrown giants like yourself? It's obviously a battle that can't be fought, on the basis of money or funding. So, what can the differentiator be for such companies, other than, partnerships with companies like Urban Ladder?
See, I think, India is a large, diverse country. I think a lot of times the local small retailer will be able to offer very customized solutions, which a brand like ours will always find it difficult.
Right.
Right.
Any examples that you can share?
I mean, let's say for a minute, if there is a very specific kind of upholstery that people of a certain region like.
Right. They know their customers.
I mean, just as an example. But I think if I were a smaller retailer in any part of the country, I would very, very actively reach out to companies like Urban Ladder and try and see how we can partner. Because it's very easy to say that everybody has to compete and everybody has to do things on their own. We, as generally speaking, are big believers in the power of partnerships. Some of our best wins have come when we have struck those very, very interesting partnership solutions. We are not believers in saying we can do everything ourselves. We just don't believe that. It's just not true, or it will take far longer. Right. So we would rather work hard and sort of forge these strong relationships today.
Right. In fact, that was my follow-up question. In terms of how they can work together with, global and, giants like yourself, homegrown giants, is partnership going to be the way forward?
I think it's actually not just important, it's imperative. And I would in fact say that that for companies like ours or for any other company in our space, small, big, right? I think, so, I don't want to sound too jingoistic, but I think it's important to call it out. Companies like us and the small retailer are soon going to be faced with multinational competition from very, very large corporations.
I'm sure you already are, right?
Yes, but I think it's going to increase significantly in the next couple of years.
You're talking about IKEA?
I don't want to take names. You know, we have a lot of respect for. I think it's a brilliant company. But at the end of the day, we have to survive and we have to sort of build our business, and we have to flourish. So I think it is imperative that we find ways of building alliances and partnerships among a large number of Indian companies, so that we can really compete head to head with an organization which, by its very definition, has far more money to spare.
And also the global playbook, right?
They have the global playbook. They have far more capital that they will look to invest. They have a certain way of doing business. They have far bigger sourcing synergies. So then, how do we win? We win by knowing the customer better. We win by aligning with each other, and we win by sort of delivering better customer experience.
And how does a brick and mortar SME player cope with the online world? You mentioned all these partnerships, but outside this, what else can they really do to keep up with this changing times? If people just go online to order everything, they wouldn't necessarily go to a Shivaji Nagar to fit out their housing requirements.
I think there are lots of opportunities for players like those. I think one easy one, of course, is to partner with or become supplier. For example, you could become a supplier to a player like us.
Right. Right.
You could become a seller on let's say another marketplace. You could partner with us, for example, on the model I spoke about earlier, where you carry our catalog also.
Right.
Which think about it like this: that you are, let's say, a small store in Shivaji Nagar, right? You can offer maybe about 100 SKUs, right? Tomorrow you partner with Urban Ladder, suddenly you are able to offer 3,000 SKUs or 5,000 SKUs, right? The scope of your business can actually completely change if you put that mindset in place.
And in terms of expansion, Ashish, in terms of expanding too fast or expanding at the correct pace, how do you really pace your expansion, and what lessons can it possibly have for others?
So, the way I would put it, there is, if somebody were to say that, there is a perfect pace of expansion, which everybody knows, and you have to go, okay, this is the path, this is the pace of expansion, and okay, well, you just follow this pace. Fact is, nobody knows, right?
You just have to play it by the ear.
You have to sort of, you have to put your best bet. You have to put your best bet and keep moving along that path, and sort of keep reinventing along the way. And of course, sometimes you will grow faster than what you expected. Sometimes you will grow lesser than what you expected, and you just have to keep calibrating.
Right. And in terms of hiring, Ashish, the challenges that you see, and what else can people do? Because again, retail industry, and specifically yours, very specific talents that people have to bring to the table in terms of aesthetics, in terms of design. What challenges do you see there?
Sure. I think, so the good part and the bad part, or the tough part for us in our business, is that the industry we operate in, which is the home lifestyle industry, that's a very nascent industry. So to find people who have deep years of expertise and who know the science of some of these topics is a little tougher. Let's say if I were to contrast that with fashion. Fashion as an industry has existed in some reasonable shape and form in India for the last 20 odd years, right? So there are lots of professionals with deep embedded knowledge of the industry.
Right.
In our category, that's not really the case. It's far more nascent, which is good, because that if we do some good work, then it suddenly sets us apart. But from a finding talent standpoint, it obviously makes it tougher. At the same time, there are lots of schools and colleges and sort of high quality professionals. Some professionals who are coming back from international stints. So you add all of that together. I think it's possible to put together a good team.
Right.
Generally speaking, in the more general management domains, our belief is more. We are actually very comfortable with people from outside the industry coming in and shaping the industry. So a large part of our team is not from the industry, but there are of course some specialized skills, whether it is design, whether it is product thinking, quality, where you obviously need expertise from the industry. So we have those experts. So I think getting that blend right is important.
Time for a quick break on this episode of MSME Dialogues. Don't go anywhere. Much more from Urban Ladder on the other side. Welcome back. With us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and Chandra Srikanth is in conversation with Urban Ladder. Take a listen.
also want to understand, you know, governments of course made a huge push for this whole Make in India. How can the retail industry participate in this more, especially at a time when IKEA is, you know, ready to make a
See, I
splash?
think we've been very clear in our thinking on this. You know, if you think about it, if you think about how manufacturing as a sector has really shaped up in any part of the world, right? Whether you look at the US, let's say 150, 200 years back or 100 years back, or whether you look at Japan in the last, let's say 50, 60, post the Second World War, or you look at China in the last 30, 40 years, right? When the local market or the local consumption economy really goes through a very big upswing, that's when local manufacturing becomes much stronger. And even more than that, when local consumption becomes more organized, local manufacturing becomes, or national manufacturing becomes much stronger. So I think we are at the cusp of that process in India, where consumption in India is growing really rapidly and becoming more and more organized. As that becomes more and more organized, manufacturing sector will naturally become stronger. And we are starting to see that in the last 4 years. If I tell you the number of product categories where manufacturing did not exist or was very weak 4 years back, but has become much stronger in the last 4 years in our business of furniture, right? I think there's a lot of interesting things happening. People are putting in investments. They're putting investments because they see the market now.
Right.
Right? They see the opportunity of working with players like us.
And also, I just want to know, you know, in your journey as an entrepreneur, some of the biggest challenges and, you know, the learnings that really gave you that you can share. What you learned from your mistakes or from your challenges.
You don't want me to list all the mistakes, I'm assuming. Because
Are
that's
there
a long
so
list.
many?
Yeah, that's a long list.
Okay, so maybe one key challenge and, you know, the learning from that.
Sure. You know, I think one of my personal biggest, I would say, learning is that the only way, sort of, you know, the most important thing in building for the long term is to continuously build a stronger and stronger team.
Okay.
Especially at the leadership level. We started with a small team in 2012. What is incredible is most of these people sort of, pretty much everybody continues to play pivotal roles in the organization.
Right.
Right? Now, how do we leverage that while reinventing ourselves and getting more stronger leaders on the team to lead specific disciplines? I think finding and sort of nurturing that senior talent, I think is a critical part of the puzzle. And in general, more broadly speaking, you know, investing in your people, I would say that's the single most important thing of building an organization.
And in an era of social media, how does one really go about building a brand more responsibly? You know, I mean, offers a lot of opportunity because it's almost a level playing field, but that's also a downside. So how does one really go about it?
You know, so the way we think about it is in social media. So the great thing, and sort of in some sense what you're referring to, the tough part also is that social media is very transparent today, right? Everybody knows everything, right? Information is very easily and seamlessly available, and everybody has a voice. So that's actually incredible. If you don't know how to work with that, if you're not comfortable with that, that's at the same time very scary also. To us, you know, we are very consistent in saying, you know, we will be honest in all our interactions. You know, whether social media or otherwise, but we'll be honest in all our interactions. And I think very importantly, one of our team members, even today morning we're having this discussion, said, you know, it is important in all our conversations to be very, very human. Right? There is I think, you know, and we sometimes notice, and it's a little funny when that happens, sometimes we notice, all of us notice brands or companies taking a very quote-unquote cooperative view of communication on social media.
And that doesn't work. The irreverence is not there, right?
Yeah, and that doesn't work. You have to be a human being, right? So I think for us, being honest, being consistent, and being human, sort of, you know, broadly sums up how we would like to approach social media. Okay. You know, and you have to, I think sometimes people also, what we notice, some of the brands don't, I think, respect, you know, consumers
or feedback.
Yeah, respect feedback as much. Yeah, and I think that doesn't work. Right. Even if it's one person's feedback,
it's important.
You've got to listen.
Right. One big reform that everybody is really looking forward to, GST. How do how are you really going into preparing for GST? What kind of groundwork is really required here?
I think everybody has to be well prepared for GST. Fingers crossed, 1st of April. So I think that's going to be a landmark event in, I would say, modern India almost. So we are really looking forward to it. I think that will make life a lot easier across multiple fronts. There is a lot of work to be done. So there is a lot of work to be done in terms of planning how GST impacts us. What is the what are the different tax structures that that one has to know how to manage ahead of time, because the process will change significantly.
Right.
Also, there is a lot of work to be done on the technology side from our standpoint and every other retailer standpoint or business standpoint. I think some of the pieces are not completely clear. So hopefully in the next 45 days in some of the parliament sessions, once the clarity on some of those topics emerges, then people can start putting specific parts of especially the technology has to be put in place very quickly.
Right.
So I would say December, Jan, Feb, I think a lot of companies will be spending time building the right technology for GST.
Ashish, you spoke about how it's important for companies to be a little human on social media and not just act very corporate. So, following up on that, how can MSMEs really engage better with young employees, with millennials?
I think and a lot has been written about how the millennial entering the workforce has changed the face of organizations.
Right.
I think the change is one of those, as they say, change is the only constant. So we have to just accept that let's say I'm 37, almost 38. Am I different from somebody who I started working with when I joined my first job? Am I different from that person because that person was 35 when I first met that person, right? Of course I was different from, and that person would have thought, this new kind of person. This is just life, right? A new set of people come in, they have a certain new set of expectations, they have a certain new way of living life. I personally find it very, very energizing working with the 25, 27-year-olds. I think they bring far more energy.
Right.
I actually think that a lot of people in our people who are joining our workforce in India now are better informed. They have broader worldview. They are more courageous for sure. So I think it's an organization's and a team's role to leverage that and make the most of that, as opposed to feeling, is this a threat? I think that's powerful, not weakening.
Finally, Ashish, tell us how the festive season has been for you in terms of the consumer sentiment, and what can other entrepreneurs really learn and prepare for, and hope that more and more people lap up aspirational products, discretionary products.
Yeah, so the festival season is festive for a good reason, but it also puts a lot of pressure on people like us, because the supply chain really gets stretched.
Right.
And of course, we are in the business of delivering happiness for the customers, and but that comes at a cost of some of our team members having to make sacrifices, because it's a festival for everybody.
We've completely run out of time on this episode of MSME Dialogues, where we were in conversation with Urban Ladder to talk about how the retail landscape is changing and how you, the MSME entrepreneur, can prepare for those changes. Do remember, if you have a company that wants to be featured on the show, you can write in to us at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can tweet at me personally. The Twitter handle is Sunanda_J. You can reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT, or call us on that number you see on your screens. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
If you feel you have what it takes to be awarded as the best in the business, here is your chance to apply. Head on over to our website, download the form and apply. If you face any troubles when applying or feel the need to get in touch with us directly, email us, call us, tweet at me directly at Sunanda_J, or join our Facebook group.